Hi guys.
Okay, we have recording
I'm gonna try again. Partager, voilà. Right
transmission.
here in partager. I think I'm doing okay. You guys see it?
Yes.
Wonderful. Me do. Now I'm gonna be even more ambitious. I'm gonna try to do full screen. Voilà. I'm excited to do this. We got some good things to share together. And if you see it, how can I do full screen on that? Voila, maybe like that. Voila, not quite. You guys see it?
Well, it's not a full screen.
I'm trying to do the yeah, I'm trying to do the full screen. Do you know where it is?
It should be on the bottom bottom right corner of the slide if it's PowerPoint.
Yeah. But here I don't see it. View on the page on time. Okay, let me see, because otherwise, if not, I can do a little bit like this. There's a good picture of Chris, right? He's much better looking than me. I'm very jealous.
Or maybe it's on the upper bar in the view section.
Okay, show me. So view, because here it doesn't show on the bottom, you know, usually there's a little broom that does that, but I don't see it.
In the
And
middle of the page, on the top bar, you see options like comment, view, from, protect. Choose view.
alors, voilà. Ah, maybe it's here.
Panowie, czy możecie powiedzieć mi, czy widać transmisję? Bo
View, okay.
Na
View.
fejsie.
And I'm on view now. Up. Why did you share yours?
I can share mine with no problem. If you guys, ktoś wie, jak w tym PowerPoincie odpalić podgląd u niego?
To jest PDF.
Właśnie trzeba by wiedzieć, co to jest za program, to byśmy coś znaleźli.
Okay, Alexandre, maybe I share mine.
Okay, go ahead, man. Okay, yeah, we have prepared together, so I'm totally comfortable. All right, thank you.
Give me just
Well,
a
again,
second.
thanks to everyone. I am in Cognac right now, and you know, barely finished the day. You know, we are in the middle of distilling, and this is a super busy time, both in Barbados. I'm very proud to say today we just finished planting 30 acres of cane. We have researched cane varieties for 5 years in Barbados. So I will tell you by the end of the tasting, anybody who wants to come to see us, whether in Barbados or in Cognac, you're more than welcome. You'll see we have researched cane varieties, not just cane for making sugar and then making rum, but the cane for making rum itself. So we distilled different varieties of cane, and we planted 3 varieties of cane that are all from Barbados, obviously, as you know. And then we are starting to plant more coconuts. So we're going to plant 60 acres of coconuts. So you will have a more cut and dry if you tried it already and you like it. Be assured that we are planting more coconuts because the sales have far expected or surpassed our expectation. So you will have that also. This is the news at Maison Ferrand. You know what's happening, you know, today. You know, both the distilling in Cognac. Very difficult year, but also, like I said, you know, planting cane in Barbados, wonderful, just 30 acres these few past months. And then the coconuts, we have a nursery, you know, you have to plant the coconut and then it goes out of the ground and then you plant it back in the fields. So that's what we are doing as we speak. So
do you guys, sorry, do you guys see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
we see it.
Okay, so in a minute, when you're ready, you can start.
All right, we are getting started. You can go ahead, Philip. And then so thank you, by the way. Thanks, Chris, to do this. You know, for doing this. This is a pleasure. I love to see Chris. He's always there. He's one of the most knowledgeable person on rum. And I have only one regret is I can't read Polish yet, so I could read his book. But you are lucky you can read his book. Please read it. I'm sure knowing him and knowing his knowledge, I am sure it's a great book. So I can't read it yet, but maybe you know, it will be translated in English or in French soon, and I'm looking forward to this, Trace. Thank you for having me today.
I will do that next year. I will do that next year. So we'll be there.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So on the next slide, I'll show you. I just wanted to share. This is, by the way, where I am right now. This is my home. I'm in upstairs, you know, when the window is open, and you know, this is where I live, and this is where I work. It is a farm. It looks like a fancy house or whatever. It really is a farm. And there's one kitchen is where the people work, and it's my kitchen, and it's all the workers' kitchen. And so when you come to see me, I grew up as a farmer, and I live as a farmer. And you know, in the morning we have a morning briefing, and it's usually at 7 o'clock, and it's in the kitchen in the ground floor. So in the next slide, also I wanted to show you. This is, you know, as you know, we have three key activities. My first love was cognac. This is where I've learned how to be a master blender. I was the Ferrand family is not my family. I was to meet this incredible little company that was about to close about 35 years ago, and there was only 3 people left and working there, very tiny. Yet it was making beautiful cognac 100 years ago. A bit like Bruichladdich, if you know the story of Bruichladdich. The idea was to pick up the pieces and start rebuilding. I was 23 years old. I had no clue what I was doing, except technically. I grew up in the vineyards, and so that's Maison Ferrand. And we picked up the pieces, and we make, as you know, Grand Champagne cognac, and we grow our own grapes, you know, we're farmer, and that's what we do. And so that's Ferrand. And the next slide, you probably know that I created in 1996. I created Citadel Gin, and you know why is we have all these beautiful stills, and I'm saying, you know, why not make the true flavors? My passion is to write flavors, you know, that create emotions, and that's Citadel. At the time was the first artisanal gin. Now there's many, and there's many good ones. We have planted our own juniper berries with the only gin. We have 25 acres, 10 hectares of juniper berries, and we plant our own. And now I created a dedicated experimental distillery for Citadel, but also for making a lot of research. So that's Citadel. And then in the next slide, obviously, the baby Plantaray, formerly called Plantation. I'll touch on that later. This is my home in Barbados. You can see to the left, this is where I work. If you look really hard, you can see little guys there, and that's where I work. It's an old, beautiful lady that is by the sea that has made rum for everybody in Barbados at one point and another. It's an incredible distillery that I'm so proud to be part of, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. Philippe, you can see in the next slide, the Cane Rock. Cane Rock was also a recent adventure. It's an adventure between a famous distiller that is working with me, Vivian Wisdom, who's was the distiller of Hampden before and distiller at Clarendon and New Harmers in his life. He's also the trainer of Flovia and so on, and he's been working by my side 6 years now. And I wanted to recreate what in Jamaica sometimes they call the medicine rums. These rums where they infuse different botanicals or different herbs to make them kind of shine different ways. These are usually family recipes. And it became spice rum when it was bastardized with artificial flavors. I wanted to go back to something very natural, using not a cheap quality rum, but a beautiful rum from Long Pond and from Clarendon. It took us 3 years, 90 recipes. We didn't use ganja in it. You know, some of these medicinal rum use marijuana. We didn't choose to do that for obvious reasons. It's a rum we're very proud of, and it is part of it is aged in a Pedro Jimenez, you know, to give it that round, nice flavor. Thank you, Philippe. The next slide is a little reminder of the Maison Ferrand rum range, the Plantaray rum range. As you know, to the upper left, you have the you know, the bar specials, and with the new baby, which is a cut and dry. You have the OFTD, probably, you know, that's where I'm very proud of. All these are my babies, the 3 stars, a classic white rum. I like to tell people that I built the instrument, and you as a drinker or you as a bartender, you play the music. You know, this is really for me to build instruments, and I will share a secret with you, you know, about certain elements before we dive in. A secret of a master blender that I hope you will keep with yourself forever in a further slide. But here I just want to show you have in the middle the blends. You know, the blends are prestige blends, showing a terroir by doing very sophisticated blends. You know, with the new baby, which is the PXXO that we're going to be tasting together. To the bottom left, you have the vintages, and the vintages for us are very special vintage. Think about if the blends are like a nice dish on the back burner, the vintages are like sashimi, you know, like a slice of. Usually we do only 20 to 30 barrels. If you look on the top of the box or on the top of the back, you always see, I'll show you in a picture, the number of barrels we made for the world. In the middle bottom, you have this single cask. Single cask is a tribute, very important, is a tribute when rum was not just 100%, you know, bourbon cask. You know, everybody knows bourbon cask. Bourbon changed the law in 1934, where bourbon would have to be aged in a new barrel, right? That's kind of crazy, but that's what they did. And it was under the pressure of the sawmills, you know, the guys that cut wood. And so that was very wonderful business for them. It did a good job for the bourbon, but it changed the taste of rum forever because suddenly there was cheap barrels, and then people started to buy these barrels. So in 1934 and on, we see that at our distillery, people start using smaller barrels of bourbon instead of reusing cognac, Madeira, sherry, you know, Armagnac, and so on and so forth, whiskey barrels. And so I want to pay tribute to this old tradition with the single cask edition that you see below. You know, the single cask is very unique because every time I create a new range, 10 to 13 different expressions. Some of you may be collectors, and if you do, thank you very much. You know, of these single cask showing the tradition when it was not just bourbon barrel. So, and I'm always researching crazy stuff, you know, because I want to, but I'm walking. Some people think I'm crazy with this, but I'm walking in the footsteps of the rums of yesterday or 100 years ago. And then to the right, you guys are very lucky. You're going to be tasting extremes. It's not very often I taste the extremes. And in fact, I'm going to have to look at you tasting it because we drank all of it, the Guyana, so 27 years old. So I will be looking at your faces, hoping you enjoy it very much. You know, that's the extreme that we have to taste today. Next slide, Philippe. You can see just little trivia information. You know, I've created 336 rums in my life. You know, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. I create a lot. I spent all day. I have a bit of a headache because I've tasted a lot today. I've tasted, you know, 60 different stuff that we're working on. I'm proud to tell you that we have received with Plantaray 556 awards of gold or above. We're very proud of this. The oldest we ever launched in terms of age in a barrel is the latest Jamaica Money Musk, 40 years old, 1984. I was not in the business yet. I started in 1989. And then we work with 23, which is my lucky number, the 23 different terroirs, you know, origins. As you know, I'm a distiller in Barbados and in Jamaica. We also have 3 partners, distillery, Fiji, also, of course, Saint-Aubin in Mauritius, and, you know, Fortin in Paraguay. So, you know, these are our partners. The key pillars of Plantaray are exploring the terroir we talked about, researching the ancient methods. Why? I'm not a crazy old guy, but we learned so much from what people were doing many 100 years ago. It's a great inspiration for us. But creativity, I love to create, and I can create because I'm educated. Today, you're lucky. You're going to taste the Mr. Fogg. This is in Europe. It's not many people taste it, so you're tasting that, I believe, today. I do have a bottle. It's one of my last bottle here. I'm going to open with you. Mr. Fogg is 4 years of learning how Navy rum was made. And I wrote a book called 300 Years of Navy Rum with our good friends Matt Pietrek about, what is Navy rum. Because honestly, I thought I knew, and everything I knew was wrong. So it took 4 years of research and one book. And so, yes, research to be creative. Very often people say stuff, but really, do you really study it? The double aging is the signature of Plantaret, as you know, age first in the country of origin and age further in the country here in Cognac. We're trying to defend this old tradition. As you know, this tradition is under attack in Jamaica by some of our competitors. We are very sad about that because this is a beautiful old method that it is also wonderful. Of course, I'm a master blender as training, and I'm using these techniques of using, thank you, Philippe, about the ways of aging. In Cognac, we don't say aging, we say élever. We don't age barrels, on élève les fûts. Elevate literally means to raise. So we don't age, it's like a child. You don't age a child, it's the child aging you, but you raise a child, raise to the next level. In French, we use the same term for aging. We raise barrels or we raise rum. We say elevate, elevate. You'll see in the next slide my home, again, the distillery, West Indies Rum Distillery. I hope you come visit me. We are very lucky. We're right on the beach. To tell you the truth, I'm not very often on the beach. I'm more in the distillery. The good news is when you distill, you can see the wave and the smell, the beautiful smells of the Caribbean, because we're right on the Caribbean Sea. This is the Caribbean Sea, with the turquoise sea. This is what the distillery, the people at the distillery, they like to say that we are, and our rum is mellowed by the sea. So that's why we are mellow people, I guess. You can see my team here. You have I want to point to a few people. You see a man from the right, the guy that's holding a bottle. This guy is called Digger Anderson. Thank you, Philip, for pointing me out. And Digger is an incredible guy. Digger has been coming to the distillery for 44 years. He's been a distiller for 44 years. But his father was a distiller at the distillery for 47 years. So if I have a question of how rum from Barbados was made 90 years ago, I can ask Digger. I don't need to buy a book. I can talk to Digger, and Digger is going to tell me, because he's been coming for 44 years and his father before for 47 years. He went to work for a competitor for 6 months, and he was like, I'm so sorry. He went there 20 years ago, and he said, I'm so sorry, this distillery is in my blood. And he said, I don't have blood in my veins. I have West Indies Rum Distillery in my veins, because his father, he said, the first time I came to the distillery, I was not taller than the grass. The grass in Barbados is a little taller than in Europe. And so he's a real rock and roll star. Next to me to the left, you have Don Ben, who is the master distiller, and to the left. And, that's Don Ben. He's been voted twice a year, 2 times the best, the #1 best rum master distiller in the world. And the guy with the red shirt, the green shirt holding a bottle, just retired, John Kinch. He was the master blender. I'm now the master blender. So I'm very honored to walk in his footsteps. I just want you to know I have big shoes to fill, because he was a master blender for 43 years at the distillery. I created a product with him that is only available in Barbados that we call Legacy 120, because between his experience, Digger's experience, Don Ben, my experience, and we have 120 years of experience of rum making. So it's called Legacy 120. You have to travel to Barbados to buy it. I could tell you about everybody, in this. The white guy in the back is my son, cheap labor. That's Charles, who's getting ready to be the next master blender. But right now, he's back in Chicago learning how to sell rum, because it's good to make it, but it's good to also know and be in the market. So that's what he's doing now. So to me, that partnership, thank you, Philippe, you can go. And that was the next slide. You can see the team and I. When you come to Barbados, you will meet 280,000 inhabitants, and you will have 1,500 rum shops. What do you do in the rum shops? Imagine, after work, when you leave the office, you stop with your car on the road, and some guy has coconut water. He will open a coconut and will give you a coconut water in a glass. You close the window, then you go to the rum shop, you meet your friends like that. And the rum shop, if you're 4 people, you buy half a bottle. You don't look at your watch, you look at the bottle. And when the bottle is finished, it's time to go home. That's the hard life of Barbados. That's the rum shops. You can research it. Rum shops of Barbados is a beautiful thing, about that. Just our rums from Barbados is 90 medals, the gold medals and more. And I told you 500 and some for all the origins that we did. So this is a rum shop playing dominoes. If you come to Barbados first, you have to take domino classes on internet so you can be accepted in the rum shop and play dominoes. I think you have the training about drinking rum already, thanks to Chris and thanks to your passion. So you don't have to worry about that, but you have to learn to play dominoes so you can be part of the group. So that's I will take you to the rum shop when no tourists are coming. To the next slide, we'll show you the this we're going to be drinking now. It's a new baby. It's the Plantaray PX XO PXY Pedro Jimenez. I wanted to show you one thing, and Chris, I don't know if you could put the slides. Remember the slides that I wanted to put at the beginning, the little secrets I wanted to share with everyone. If you could jump to that before I go to this, Chris, I don't know why they were not there. Not Chris, I'm sorry, Philip. The slides about, I think they were at the end. But, I want to share a secret with you. I want to share a secret with you about something that is very important. You will keep that all your life. I never knew why my grandmother did this. When I was a kid, I was raised by my grandparents on a very small farm. And my grandmother, and when you work on a farm, the work is very taxing, very taxing. A lot of people think farming, I don't know if we have farmers in the group, but farming is very taxing, And at the end of the day, when she had a tough day, she would drink a cognac at 50% or 45% alcohol. And she would use a big brandy glass, the wrong glass, by the way, not the one like this, the big brandy glass. And she would use a big ice cube. And I always wondered, to me, probably was an influence when you think in retrospective. But what was she doing? I'm going to tell you what she was doing. And she didn't know she was doing this. And that's actually a master blender secret. In the next slide, I'm going to be geeky with you. This is what is in the rum. You don't have to remember this, but I can tell you. Rum is water. It's alcohol. That's not important. That's not interesting. It's the rest. The rest we call volatile substances. In volatile substances, these are specific molecules that give you the flavors, and volatile because they evaporate and they give you the taste, the flavors. You have 2 families. You have the higher alcohol superior, and you have the esters. When you think about the esters, you have to think about Jamaica or Barbados heavy rum. I'm going to show you super heavy ester. And when you think about the higher alcohol, you have to think about the Guyana. We're going to taste one later. That's quite chocolatey, a Port Moran. You're going to have the privilege to taste one later. Why I'm telling you this is called the weight of a rum, the weight of a cognac. The more you have of this, the heavier, the more flavors it has. In fact, when you come to see me at West Indies Rum Distillery, rum is not only a name. Rum is also a verb. We say this is rumming. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. When it's rumming, is that it's got a lot of flavors. Now, what was my grandmother doing? She knew something that she didn't know. Or she didn't know something that she knew. Is your body, and that's my secret to you, perceive molecules differently depending on their concentration. Your body perceives the smell and the taste differently depending on the concentration. So let's talk about esters. Ethyl acetate, it's a specific molecule here. When it's in a very small quantity, it smells like grass. The same molecule, higher concentration, smells like fresh fruit, grapes especially, and skin of orange. At a higher concentration, it smells like pineapple, mango, the same molecule. So that's why if we have chemists in the group, chemistry is quite limited because chemistry will tell you, oh, we have a lot of ethyl acetate. What does it mean in the flavor? You, with your nose, can only tell. When it's very concentrated, that same molecule smells like ripe banana. When it's very, very, very concentrated, higher than 1,600, it smells like solvent. It smells a little bit like nail polish remover. The same molecule. So now never forget my grandmother. What was she doing by putting a big ice cube? She was making different cognacs. Because when it dilutes, you perceive the molecules differently. That's why when you taste a foolproof rum, a foolproof whiskey, if you use a little bit of water, make sure the water is demineralized. It's not a heavy water. Make sure there's low calcium in it. You will kill your spirit otherwise. This is my secret to you. And that's why with Plant Array, we have many different type of proofs. Some, thank you, Philip, some is higher proof and some is lower proof. So if you have a higher proof, don't be shy. You can have a little bit water like you would do with a great whiskey. Or actually use a big ice cube if you have the OFTD by Maison Ferrand, by Plant Array, by our house. If you add a big ice cube, please do this next time. You take a tumbler or a snifter and you put a big ice cube, big round ice cube, and spend time. And what my grandmother was drinking is not one cognac. She was drinking a different cognac every time she had.
A quick question. Wouldn't water do the same job in exchanging the dilution and exposing different aromas without like muting the flavor because of the temperature drop?
Of course. When you drop the temperature, you mute certain flavors. It's a great question, Pavel. I really like it. Because you do mute certain flavors, but water would do exactly the same work. Your question is right on. You can do the same thing. And that's why you see people with an eyedropper adding a little bit of water, right? But you can do this with an ice cube because it's automatic. But you're right, you will mute certain flavors, more the chocolate flavors, but the esters will be really bright. So you access different things. You know what I mean? Remember, we are making instruments of pleasure. We are making instruments of pleasure. And I'm just telling you how they can be used. Again, I make the instruments and you play the music. But your question, Pavel, is very important.
That's very interesting insight from you that like it mutes only some flavors, but not the others. Because in the whiskey world, the general attitude is like play with water, but reducing the temperature will always reduce the flavor, and it's never a good idea. So I will explore ice with rum if you say it is worthwhile sometimes.
Yeah, try. Well, you will see because some elements are super volatile. So what you will do, yes, you will mute the whole thing, but you will mute some not very much and the others very much. So you get almost to choose what you do. Like for example, the esters are super volatile, so they will pop. Try with the Jamaican rum and you'll see what I'm talking about. One that's a great fun to do, you use the Jamaica Special Dry, which is not high in alcohol. It's 43, but it's full of very sophisticated esters. And so you'll have fun. And I can promise you, Pavel, you cannot kill it, And you don't have as much esters in whiskey. So obviously, but whiskey and rum and cognac, the drinking methods are quite similar. But the water, of course, will do that. But again, if you do this, Pavel, keep in mind, look at your water, make sure that the mineral level is very low. Okay? Because if you use the demineralized water, you will hurt it irreparably. This is master blenders, secret number 2. Your water must not be hard water. So ideally, osmosis filtration water, ideally, like this very, very pure water to reduce. People misunderstand the water. Whiskey is saying, oh, we use the water from the well or in rum to dilute down. That's for fermentation. But the water for reducing is always the purest in the world. In the old days, it was distilled. Now we can purify without distillation, so we don't hurt the planet as much, but that's the fact. So today we're going to try with the PXXO. That's my secret number 2. We don't have the XO today. We should. I should have brought it. But if you have a bottle of XO handy, I suggest you do side by side. Why? I want to prove to you, it's in my book on Navy rum, A plus B equals A plus plus plus, or B plus plus plus, or C. Flavor A and flavor B, if you blend them together, can enhance A or enhance B, or be both, very often not, or be C, another flavor. Am I clear? I'm going to prove this to you. If you, next time, if you have at home the XO, you drink a glass of XO, plant array, and then you put a glass of the PXXO. It's the same rum, but the PXXO will have the whiskey lactone, the coconut elements, much more present. Yet there's no more. But the PX barrel with the fruit notes is enhancing the marrying, is bringing forward certain flavors of spice and coconuts. That's called the mise en valeur as a master blender. How do you bring forward? Remember, you create flavor with distillation, with fermentation. You create flavor with fermentation. You select flavors with distillation. You refine, bring forward flavors, concentrate flavors with aging. Aging, the diamond already exists. It's how you cut the diamond. If you suck at it, you destroy the shine of the diamond. If you're good at it, you make that diamond shine. Here, I wanted to show you with the PXXO that if you drink the XO, which is very sophisticated, a rum that's quite easy to drink. My grandfather, who told me how to distill, said, if somebody is very good, it looks hard. If somebody is genius, it looks easy. And it's when I tasted the XO the first time, I didn't blend. The XO was blended by my team for my 20th anniversary as a master blender, or when I became a master blender, rather. And here I wanted to use a Pedro Jimenez, a minimum of 1 year, extra, up to 2 years in some example. And you can see the flavors that are brought forward. So this is a molasses rum. This is a pot still. I chose that picture because you can see Andy looking in the still. Andy's been in the distill 25 years. And Andy is trying to convince me to make a Barbados Citadel, which I think I will do at one point. And Andy has a distillery in his kitchen. I don't know if it's declared to the government of Barbados, but he's an incredible guy and he's an engineer. And here he's looking at in the still. The still you're looking at was built in 1850. It's called the, we'll talk about it later. And so this rum, which is a medium body rum, as you can see, a volatile substance is 210. And so you know that a light rum in America can be as light as 8 grams. You know, we call them the rum that are like vodka, very, very light. And in that case, this is a full-bodied, you know, but you can, I don't know if you agree with me with the aromatics, but you can see that A plus B here equal AA plus plus plus, right? So it's bringing forward certain elements that are in the rum, but that are not as obvious when you drink them on their own. Do I make sense? And you know, that's why if you're a bartender and you mix some of my rums, we did a competition in Italy, blending, and people were like, I'm going to use this and use that, and I blended it together. But they're like, Alexander, I don't find any of these rums anymore. What happened? I say, well, that's the magic of your palate. Sometimes you hide a certain flavors when two things are blended, don't be surprised. Or sometimes you bring forward certain flavors. That's why finishing also, when you use another barrel, you can make shine certain flavors that are already in your rum that you cannot taste in the first place. Thank you, Philippe. We are going to move ahead. Now, it was not part of the plan because it's actually not launched in Europe. We only made one vat. We have the Mr. Fogg. What is Mr. Fogg? It was a product that was not meant to be. One day, a good friend of mine, he was working at Microsoft, super geek, about computers. I'm not a geek on computers, as you've seen earlier. And Matt was coming to most of my master classes in the US, and every master classes he could go. And one day, when he reached 50 years old, he said, Alexander, I want to give my life to rum. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm not a distiller. I want to write and research rum for the rest of my days. And my wife wants to do this with me. What is your advice? I say, Matt, you are very educated now. You have a passion. You're a guy who does things all the way. I believe in you. And we talked. He became actually the man in charge. I introduced him to WIRSPA, West Indies Rum and Spirit Association. He's now their guy in charge of communication. And very talented researcher. But when he told me he wanted to retire from Microsoft to start a new career in rum, there was a little light in my head. And I said, Matt, I have a job for you. He said, what? I want to know what is Navy rum. He said, Alexander, you're a rum maker. You don't know what is Navy rum. I said, I don't think I really know. And I've been to many master classes personally from my friends. And always I ask, I say, but really, what is Navy rum? And if I ask you, Chris, what is Navy rum? What do you say? Don't be scared to be wrong because I was wrong. What do you say?
I don't know.
So maybe you want to throw Pavel under the bus?
What?
Pavel, you want to say what is Navy rum?
I think like, I mean, like the best definition of Navy rum is the style of the rum that British Navy was like supplying to its sailors. They were doing so big volume that there was some pattern there. So details can vary, but definitely what they had must be a reference point, and this must define the style.
That's a political answer, Pavel. I think you should be a politician, man, because you didn't wet your shirt too much here. But what? So I have a question for you, Pavel. What was the proof of Navy rum? What percentage of alcohol?
I think it was 54. No, like allegedly 57. A lot of people use Navy Straight 57, and then the Black Dot crew was like spreading the correction that actually it was like 54-ish.
Well, you guys are pretty good. So you see, and so we did some work.
54.5. I got one of the posters.
And you know, Sebastien, I will actually prove all of you wrong.
Oh, you are welcome in Krakow to Pijarska Street. You have to speak with the Philip. We already meet the Philip last time, and we speak more about your ram. That's the reason why I'm so proud to be here and speak with you. But I don't want to disturb you. Please continue about the Navy rams.
No, Sebastien, I really like this. You know, I'm scared to get in trouble. You guys know that when I believe something very strongly, I will go all the way. But I'm always saying, if I am wrong when the research, so 4 years later, we published the book, and you are right. A lot of things we didn't know. But Pavel is very political because he gave us a broad view, and he's actually right in what he says, but quite broad. It was given to the sailors. Pavel, I don't know if you're politicians, you have a future there. And why? Because yes, you were right. It was given to the Navy, the rum ration. First time the Navy drinks rum was in, I will do a full masterclass one day for you guys. So we're going to go real quick because we're going to drink a lot of rum. But I was researching Navy rum. As you can see, all the archives, thousands of pages, thousands of contracts, thousands of pictures, documents, artifacts that Matt brought back to me like a hunting dog. And he wrote the first part of the book describing all his findings. And I wrote the second part saying, is there, to answer the question I asked you, is there something that became Navy rum that is a technical pillar? And I found 7 technical pillars. So the 7, thank you, Philippe, the 7 technical pillars, some of them, you guys are going to say, Alexander, I knew that. It's a blend of different origin. Remember, Pavel, You said they were drinking a lot of rums. Let's say we are on a ship. Every guy on the ship was drinking half a pint of high proof rum. That's a lot of rum, man. And you had the right to use it as money. If you owe money to your friend, another sailor, for example, Chris would say to Sebastian, oh man, I lost when we played dominoes yesterday. I owe you money. I'm giving you my ration today. That was considered possible. So, this is the first, it's a blend of different origins. However, some people lead you to believe that there was only one recipe. The recipe was changing every 3 months. So if somebody bought the recipe, I'm very sorry for them because they bought just every 6 months. Why did they do that? And why did they blend different origins? But think about it. Blending different origins is not very common. If I make cognac and I blend Armagnac in it, I go to jail for 5 years. But yet rum blends from different origins. That's a beautiful thing because it's like a painter with different origins. Why? Because let's say we're on a ship. We have brandy because we left the coast of France. We arrive in Barbados, there's no more brandy. It's all drunk. We buy Barbados. And then we stop in Jamaica. We top off the barrel. And then suddenly they said, this is pretty good. And then the Navy has to produce all this rum. They want to create consistency. What do? Well, they do something that they continue blending. The second point, Navy rum was double-aged. Some people try to attack the double aging. They're wrong. It's one of the most ancient way of aging rum. Aged in the country of origin, often a small amount of time, and then shipped in a barrel, dynamic aging. Number 4 point, with the sea, the barrel is there on the sea, so it's moving, and it's doing that. So double-aged, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, you know why I asked Matt to do this? I didn't ask him, so I wanted to create a rum. I asked them because I was convinced, and rightly so, very often I'm wrong, but rightly so. I was convinced that Navy rum was the father or the mother of rum. And I was right because a lot of these pillars are found in many rums today. Because Navy rum contributed to shape rum as we know it today. Blend of different origin is not surprising for rum. I know Japanese whiskey blends different origins, but rum is very admitted about that and puts it on every label when it's done. Now, if we're going to talk about, we're not going to do every point, but we're going to use the proof. So now, think, Sebastian, you're the captain of a ship. You're a British guy. You're captain of a ship, and your ship is made of wood. Do you want to have liquid that's flammable on your wooden ship?
Of course not.
Of course not, right? Because you're not crazy, right? But you want to pack as much as possible in the ship. Now, let's say Pavel is now a rum merchant. And Pavel, we are now in 1710. I'm a distiller in Barbados. You come, you're probably wearing a wig because you're a rich merchant. And you come to Barbados and you get off the ship and you come to me and you say, I hear you make a good rum. I want to buy you some rum in a barrel. You try my rum, but you have no way to know what is the percentage of alcohol, Pavel. You have a way, but it's a very rustic way. You don't have the alcometer. So you take gunpowder, you take my rum on the table, you put the gunpowder and you light it. This is called the proof. You want the proof that the rum is strong enough, that I didn't put water in it. This is the proof. Proof is 57.14. I know because I tried with gunpowder in my kitchen. And we have a stone table. And at 57.14, it burns. So when people think rum was 57%, they are mixing with proof, what is called 100 proof. And remember, Sebastian mentioned 54.5. This is what he was going to. It is true and not true. True because the Navy was shipping rum at 2.5 under proof. And if you make the mathematics and you apply 2.5% minus 57.14, you equate about 54.5. So you probably think, so why you're not agreeing? Well, the Navy rum was using burnt sugar. They were using their own caramel they were making artisanally. And it had a little residual sugar and created a distortion in the reading because in 1866, when they decided it's 54.5, the only way to measure alcohol was not gunpowder anymore, and there was no sailors using gunpowder for their rums. They were using the alcometer, and the alcometer can only measure alcohol and water differentiation. So they didn't know the elements of flavors from the wood, and also the burnt sugar that was used created a distortion. From the recipes that we have found, there was a little bit of obscuration. So the real proof was 55.7%, because now it's the true alcohol proof. So starting 1866, every sailor was given more rum than the Admiralty knew, 55.7 instead of 54.5. And the Navy said that nobody ever complained. They got more rum, more proof, and it was still underproof, so it didn't catch on fire. So I could develop every single pillars, but I think we'd rather drink instead. This is the secret of this blend, but I want to show you, this is us with the cane fields. By the way, that was a picture from last week in Barbados. We're planting cane, we just finished. I would like to show Philippe the slide, one of the pillars. You don't have the pillars with the, voila, look at that. This is Matt Pietrek and I. One of the crazy stuff, one day Matt Pietrek calls me and he said they were aging rum in London in open vats, 19th century open vats. I called him and I said, Matt, it's not because you have one document that it's true. He said, I knew you would say that, Alexander. I have at least 10 documents. They were aging it in open vats from 6 months to 2 years. I own this cellar that is from 19th century, and my heart was crying, but I broke the top of the vats to try to make a rum, and we called it Mr. Fogg. We rested it for a long time there, and we lost 30% of evaporation in actually more than 2 years. Why did they do that? You see the gravity you feed from one vat to the other is to create extreme oxygenation. You lose some of the esters, Pavel, remember the ones that are most volatile, but you get this very oily rum. And I suggest we drink it together. And, you know, these are the different elements, use of burnt sugar. We don't have time to go through all the different points, but this is the description of what you're drinking today, you know, of this beautiful rum. And that is, I thought this thing was so fantastic that I couldn't help making my own. We made one vat, and we called it Mr. Fogg in the honor of a man that Matt met. And Mr. Fogg is somebody that was in the Navy, very, very nostalgic. He worked for EDF Man, the company that bought rum for more than 100 years for the British Crown. And he collected like a pack rat. He collected stuff about Navy rum all his life. And we met him right before he died. And he literally gave us the corner of the Rosetta Stone. Without him, the rum would still be foggy. And his name was Mr. Fogg. And that's why we decided to call this rum, with the agreement of his family, we called it Mr. Fogg. He died knowing that. This is the book we wrote, 300 years. This is his wife and his son that you can see here, Michael Fogg Jr. And, you know, that's when, you know, I was able to give them the first bottles. She's holding the first bottle that we name in the name of her husband. And, you know, her husband was so fascinated with the Navy that he had collected everything he could find. So we can taste it together. The ginger note, the chocolate notes are right there. Some of the esters from Jamaica have evaporated. Think about making a bechamel on the back burner that give you a super rich, oily flavor. Remember, this is 55.7% alcohol, yet it's been aged in this open vat with the gravity system. You know, I wrote my tasting notes, but Matt tasting notes, when he tasted it, he said it's like, say, taking OFTD, putting it on a Christmas cake and pressing the Christmas cake to make a rum. You know, or somebody said it's OFTD with a clean shave. I don't know, but this is the result of what we called the sale number one. So we launched a lot of new products this year. So Mathieu decided that, you know, he would pass on the sale number one, and we thought we'll only make one. But when he tasted the rum again, he said we need to make a second edition. So this, what you're tasting today, is sale number one, and you're going to be next year. We're preparing right now the sale number two, which will be the second edition of the Navy rum. Do you guys like it?
Yes, a lot. Can we see the slide with the blends of this rum?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So these are the distilleries and these are the blends. This is sale number one, or blend number one. Interestingly enough, there was not a lot of Jamaican rum in the Navy rum, because this heavier taste that Jamaica brought was not always sought after. There was a lot of it in the early inception, probably from the 1700s, but then after, it was less proportion in it. One question I get sometimes, was it a specific recipe? I thought that making a recipe, we have found a few, but they're very recent. They're from the 1960s. I remember the recipe is a picture. It's like taking one frame of a whole movie. Do I make sense? And instead of using one recipe, I decided to work like if I was the master blender of the Navy. So that's what I tried to do. If I had the job to do it today, knowing what I've learned with the book and with the research, this is what I would do. And this is what I created with the Mr. Fogg sale number one. So what do you smell? I got exotic fruits, right? But more like mango, not so much of the, ripe banana. I get a lot of spice, a lot of dried fruits, oilier feeling in the mouth, because remember, we've lost in 2 years more than 30% to the angels. My discussion with French customs was very hard, because in France, if you evaporate more than 6% a year, you have a fine. So I had to argue that it was enough that I lost it, and they know me very well. So they showed them the process before going on, and they allowed me to do this under government control in a bonded warehouse. So that's the sale number one. A very nice to share with this very rare rum. Only one vat was made. You saw the open vat, and it was pumped up and down. Now I'm taking you to another location. I'm taking you to a partner distillery, Saint-Aubin in Mauritius. What are partner distilleries? There's 3 of them. I work with different distilleries around the world, and the partner distilleries are, of course, we own distillery in Barbados. We are shareholders in Jamaica, but we have 3 partner distilleries: Mauritius, Fiji, and Paraguay. And these partnerships is when we are working together. We share all of our costs. They can get anything they want from me, any recipe, any yeast, any barrels, any equipment. We have a coppersmith. We make our own stills here at Maison Ferrand. We have a little shop. And all the bulk that they produce, if they don't use for their brand, the only partner for bulk is Maison Ferrand and Plantaray. So this is this partnership we have with Fiji, partnership we have, with Saint-Aubin in Mauritius, and also in Paraguay with 14 distilleries. So here, you can see the red cane here. That is, red cane was actually developed in Réunion Island, planted there. Sugarcane has been cultivated in Mauritius since the early 1800s. This family, as you can see here, thank you, is here you can see a shell to the back. And yeah, you can go ahead and you can see the team with me. This family has been making a rum for a long time, and they have their own estate and their own cane fields. So that's, and they have both a pot still and a column still. In the next slide, you'll see more about production. But what I wanted to share with you today is the fact that there is a Mauritius. This is not a Mauritius vintage. This is the first time that we have a Mauritius under that program that we're going to taste today, the Mauritius 2013. If you look on the label, and thank you, you see 19 barrels. Thank you, Philippe, you read my mind. So if you buy a bottle of this, you can see this one is every year there's a different collection of vintage. We had the bird collection, the sea under the sea collection. This is the Terra Vera, the True Land collection. That's a tribute to the terroir. And as you can see, only 19 barrels of that. This is quite an old rum from Fiji. There's not so, no, from Mauritius, and not so many old rums. And here you're going to be tasting a rum that you can see 9 years, there in Mauritius, and 2 years in some of our barrels here at Maison Ferrand. Quite a nice baby, 278 grams of volatile substances. And, I chose to bottle it. Remember, Pavel, depending on the concentration, you have different flavors. Here I chose, so my job is to show you something, but you can start working with it. If you have a little water with an eyedropper, this one will lend itself beautifully, and you will be playing music with instruments I gave you. Exactly. I know you know your stuff, so that's why I mentioned that. And make sure your water is not heavy water, and you do that. This one will lend itself. I have a little sample bottle I just got, and of this beauty. This is a beauty from Mauritius, and this is made from molasses. This distillery works both with molasses and cane juice. So be ready to taste some Mauritius expression in cane juice as well. In fact, if you try the Sealander, a blend of Barbados and 2 sister distilleries, Mauritius and Fiji, the Mauritius in there, in the Sealander, is 100% cane juice. Here it's an expression with molasses. Okay, so you have my tasting notes. You don't have to agree with me. Obviously, tasting notes are super, super personal. I find it nice chocolate when I taste it today. Also guava, I find it floral, rose. I find very, very floral, like exotic notes, but also spice, nutmegs, and very, very exotic nutmegs. I have a little old tobacco notes, like almost a cigar box tomato tobacco notes. A little bit of lemon peels and fresh banana. I hope you will agree it's a beauty. You know why I was so excited to get married with this distillery? It's a wonderful distillery making beautiful, beautiful rum with Saint-Aubin. And the barrels I prefer the most, I bottle it there. We have Maison Ferrand and Plantaray. We have about 500 barrels that are aging there that we own. And some of them make it back here. They will all make it back here with this double aging. And as you know, full transparency on the label to tell you exactly what we did with that. So you see the balance, and here you can smell the beautiful elements from the American oak with a little bit of whiskey lactone, which we call the little, coconut in the background. But I love the French oak that brings, remember a long time ago, they used a lot of European oak that brings nice, spicy nutmeg notes that work with the rum that already had these nutmeg notes. Some whiskey producers, some of them are my very, 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 very good friends. They always tell me the barrel is more than 50% to their whiskey. I totally disagree with that for my way of making rum and my way of making cognac. And I love their whiskeys. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. I don't want you to taste the wood. I want you to taste the cane. I want you to taste the molasses. I want to take, remember, it's got a rum. It is rumming. And that's what I want to show you there. But this is very typical of this nicely floral, spicy notes of a beauty from Mauritius. You guys like that?
It's very good. It's interesting, but it shows lots of molassa, but also a little bit of flourish, a little bit of grassiness. And you're right, it's almost none of the barrel.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, right? I love to have the exotic feel because remember, oak is from cold climate and it's good, but it's not. I like what you said, very much, because that's what I wanted to do. And will you agree with me that it's like nothing others, right? There's no rum from another region, right? Because my job is always I want to surprise you, and my job is to surprise myself. So when I tasted the work of that distillery, I'm like, I can do this. I can make this shine beautifully. I like the way you described it. These are my babies. So sometimes it's hard to talk about your babies, because of course you love your babies, but I can't help smelling it. There's every time. If you put a little tear of water, you'll see it will explode with certain flavors. A beautiful spirit. Thank you. Just a little review. What do I do with single cask? Single cask, Philippe, you're doing a great job. Single cask, remember I already discussed about that. What am I doing with single cask? I want to show you old traditions when it was not just bourbon barrels. Bourbon barrels work very well for rum. I believe they don't work well for tequila, but I might make a lot of enemies by saying that. I give you my point of view. I'm not a tequila distiller. Some of the tequilas I prefer the most, and some of the distillers I respect the most agree with that. It actually works well with rum because you have the whiskey lactone, coconut and vanilla and so on. But it always has the same buttery nose. And what I want to show with the single cask is to celebrate this forgotten tradition, because when I created single cask, now people do finishing, but here it's a full-fledged double or triple aging doing different rums. So we're going to taste a rum that you will try, and I won't because it's already finished in France. You can see the partnerships. In my life, I worked with more than 60 different master blenders. Why? Because I learn every time. Or master distillers, or master brewers, actually. To the bottom right, the tall guy is a brewer. By the way, here to the top, total right, the tall guy is 2 meters high. And the guys in the middle do a beautiful whiskey. And in Texas, the top left is a Calvados producer. Allen to the top right is a good distiller in New York. Steve Nally is a famous distiller in Kentucky. He makes Boston, but he's a guy that worked many years making Maker's Marks. And we swap barrels. In this next slide, you can see other partnerships. You can see Anthony Wills. He's a guy. Kilcoman whiskey. You might know if you're a whiskey fan. Todd Leopold. He makes whiskey in Denver, Colorado. Alex Chatko, Teeling. All these are partners. I use their barrels. Aaron James, wonderful guy. Ocho Tequila. Carlos Camarena, wonderful distiller who using very, very old barrels, not to give too much wood. I'm there with my son to the right, and my son has been trained distilling since he's 10 years old, and so he's going to every trip. We made a pechuga together in Mexico. I'm preparing him, and he loves that job. So luckily, I don't want to force him. And so all these are the single cask adventures that we are doing. So Jamaica, the true Jamaican is long fermentation, pot still rum, heavy style, and funky notes. Why do we do that?
I
We
have
do
a
that
question about single casks.
Yes.
By speaking about Ocho and making pechugas, are you planning any mezcal cask series of single casks?
I did one a long time ago, just one barrel, and it's a lot of fun. It's very hard because you don't want the smoke to take over, but yes, we are working on one. I work with Siete Misterios at one point, and we are working also with different producers. I did one with our good friend Ron Cooper, who was the owner, from Delmagay. And Delmagay, they use a Ferrand Sélection des Anges, a 25-year-old cognac barrel. And I sent them a barrel. And these crazy guys, they put water in the barrel and they turned it upside down so they could drink more cognac. And after that, they put, Delmagay in it, and they made a wonderful mezcal, just one barrel. I forgot what they called it. And then, so there was a Delmagay in a Ferrand barrel, and there was a plantation at the time in a Delmagay barrel. So, and it's a lot of fun, but you have to really be careful. Remember, I'm trying the barrel not to take over. That's when it becomes hard, because the smokiness from Kilchoman or the smokiness from Mezcal is very powerful. So here, this is a little analysis of Jamaica. We do a wheel for every origins. It's not easy. This is just a very, very rough summary about what we feel is characteristics of Jamaican profile. This can be argued because you have a different style in northern Jamaica, Long Pond, and Hamden, and the southern Jamaica, a little bit different. The southern don't use muckpit. We do in the north. So, but this is kind of a snapshot of what I think, how we feel of Jamaica. We did that for every rum. They don't like so much the chocolate notes, the higher esters, the higher, higher alcohols. They like more the esters. You can see to the left, the team at Long Pond. To the right, if you on the vat, you see some cane stalks in it. We are harvesting yeast by doing that. We can see this used to be a secret picture. I am allowed to share it with you. You see me to the right to Flovia. Yes, you can see it. These are cane stalks. This is to harvest certain yeast that we get. And you can see to the right with me, a Flovia, who was the first female master distiller. She's manning this beautiful beast to the back, which is not an elephant and nor a dinosaur. It's a pot still. And it's a pot still making beautiful Jamaican rum and in Clarendon. In the next slide, you'll see, I'm crying when I see this picture. This was Long Pond before the fire. Thank God I took a picture of every vat, and very detailed when I was visiting many times, and we were able to rebuild it almost identically. This is the using the same type of cedar tree. Thanks to my good friend Carlos Camarena from Alteña, I found a perfect vat maker in Mexico that never traveled outside of Mexico except Jamaica and Barbados now, to build the new Long Pond vatting room. Frankly, the muck pit was still alive, so that's why we were able to keep the style of Long Pond going on and to reseed the vat. When you use wooden vat, you can only mostly use, this is the new babies. Here, you can see the design, exactly the same one. And that, thank God to my friend, Carlos Camarena, who helped me found the guy that didn't forget the techniques of making vats of cedar the same way people did it in Long Pond 150 years ago. So I'm very, very grateful. This is the picture. This is Clarendon. In that case, it's dunder is used. Don't mix up dunder pit and muck pit. Dunder pit doesn't mean much. It's just a vat where you keep the dunder for a small amount of time. The dunder is the vinasse. And I'll give you a little secret later about how we boost esters in Barbados and Jamaica, different methods, and I'll share that with you. And here you see Vivian Wisdom. Vivian, I told you about, is the man who worked with Cane Rock with me. Vivian was master distiller. He's the guy who created Great House, for example, at Hamden. Now he works with us. And you can see Marta, who is the CEO of National Rum of Jamaica in Jamaica. There are, Vivian works with me, and then Marta is the boss of National Rum of Jamaica. In the next slide, you can see, this partnership. You guys are going to be tasting this and not me. I'm very jealous. I love to taste it every time. This is a beauty from Clarendon. This is a 2007 vintage. So remember, when it's the vintage, is 100% from this year. Think about like sashimi. It is bottled at 51%. Again, I want to showcase something very specific. What did I do with this rum? Aged 11 years. the bourbon cask, and 3 years in a Ferrand cask in France. And then I fell in love with the whiskey, rye whiskey. They use rye and they use also bourbon, a beautiful bourbon with butcher corn, red corn. They are in Denison, Texas. And I felt their whiskey was so delicious. I said, do you want rum barrels? They said, absolutely. We would love to have plantation barrels. So we sent them rum barrels and they sent us some beautiful whiskey. Their whiskey was voted best American whiskey in America a few months after we chose the barrels. So 5 years in these barrels of whiskey that were delicious. And you have this beauty that you're going to taste from Jamaica. Quite a night, as you can see, the ester count is getting high now at 100. Of course, it's not a Hogo Monster, but it's a beautiful, full-bodied Jamaican rum. It might be a history pulp museum piece. I have competitors in Jamaica who try to forbid the double aging. We are in a fight right now in Jamaica. I hope we can win because we respect the others and we want to be respected. Remember, National Rum of Jamaica, Lompon and Clarendon have been doing double aging since 1753, and we want to continue to do that tradition in additionally to the tropical aging. So what you're drinking, team here, ladies and gentlemen, here is liquid history with something that is done according to these hundreds of years of tradition, and I chose to bottle it at 51% to show the exuberance of this Jamaican, beautiful Southern style rum. 100% pot still, and you saw the baby in the back that has distilled that, and you see the two brothers at Iron Roots with me in Denison, Texas, because when I choose barrels, I like to see the distillery and see, these guys. So that's when I went there to see them. So if you have a little bit of water, you can also, once you taste it, you can put a little drop of water. You'll see this rum is forever. These are big, delicious rum, and that's a single cask that I hope you will remember as well. Another museum piece. All right, guys? You enjoy that? Jamaica is a big rum, obviously, with a very specific flavor profile. In the next one, next slide, we're going to go into the extremes. So now the extremes is a different story. The extremes, I don't get to drink extremes every day, very rarely. And today we're going to drink some extreme. Not me, because I don't have that one anymore here at the distillery. I looked for it. I wanted to show you why, when I do extremes when there's a barrel that is looking at me and is just perfection. And I bottle it. Or the next extreme you will see is a celebration to my masters. The guys who have made rum with long time ago, and their descendants have agreed that I make a collection in the, the Legends of Rum, that you will be the next extreme collection that will be released, from rum that I made with people who often, most of them are past. So extreme is very limited. I'm so proud, and thank you, Chris, thank you, the team, thank you, Philip, so we can have that. This is a privilege to be able to talk about that. So only a few barrels. This one is from Guyana. You see our good friend Thomas Estes to the right, the late Thomas Estes that created Ocho Tequila. Thomas was a good friend, fanatic about our rums, and and I'm fanatic about his work. And he loved that Guyana. So I wanted to pay tribute to Thomas, by showing a picture of him on that picture since he's now passed. So Guyana, Guyana, big country actually. They are the opposite almost in flavor than Jamaica. That's why I think it's great to taste them side by side. They love the ginger. They love the chocolate. They love the power, but the opposite of the fruits and the fruit notes, more the chocolatey notes, more the ginger, the Christmas cake notes. So this is my little chart on Guyana. Again, don't take it for granted. It's always hard to explain every detail, but it is kind of what we feel about Guyana. In the next slide, you can see the heritage. This is the Portmore still. The body of the still is made of wood. Wood was used. I have in my archives in Barbados stills made of wood, and I'm dreaming of maybe rebuilding one. Today we're going to be drinking one. In the next slide, the body is made of wood. It was a way to have that. So 27 years. For rum, 27 years, that's very, very rare. So tropically aged, 8 years. And then actually in the tropics over there, and 15.5 years in a whiskey cask in that case, and then 3.5 years in a cognac cask. It's a big rum, look at volatile substances, 800 grams, yet ester percentage is quite low because remember, they like the higher alcohols. So this is a Portmore, double retort still. It's a museum piece. I chose to bottle it at 51.9%. Again, today we are drinking history. Ladies and gentlemen, we're drinking history. This is a monster. This is the Extreme number 4. If you have a bottle, don't collect it, please. Drink it. I make these products for you to enjoy life. I make these products so you can share it with your loved ones. It's good to look at the bottle. It's so much better to open it and share it with friends. So today we're sharing this today, and I hope you enjoy it. And I love the fact that we tasted back to back to Jamaica and to Mauritius, because here you have 3 totally different terroirs. And I will always fight anybody who wants to standardize rum. I hate the laws that standardize products. I hate them with a revenge. Laws should be there to promote honesty, should be there to promote transparency and integrity, but should not dictate narrow taste profiles. As you know, it's my philosophy. I go through a lot of fights about that. But talk is cheap. It's better to open a bottle. I think they talk volumes. And these 3 rums, and of course we have the Barbados, typically Barbados first one. You can see these different terroirs side by side that are, the magic of rum that we want to celebrate every day with Plant Array. So different animal, right? So now we're back home, back to Barbados. In the middle of the distillery, we have something called the Distiller's Vault. What is the Distiller's Vault? The guy who created that distillery, thank you, the guy who created that distillery was a genius, George States. He was actually an immigrant from Germany with a dream to make the best rum in the world. He's a genius of distilling. He had more than 40 patents about distilling equipment. He was a genius. You can see all the drawings and so on. And in the middle of his distillery, when he established the distillery in 1893, he created a room with a big back door to put all his secrets of rum making and all the plans and everything precious, except his money, because he didn't have much money. His money was behind these bars and behind this big door you see to the right. And you can see to the upper right all these patents about crazy equipment. Some of them we are still using today. I write on the document, I make a copy before, because when I design a new still, I study the work of Mr. States every time. So being able to buy that distillery, I don't see that as a purchase, but more as a marriage. Being married to such a distillery, it's such a privilege. You can see Andrew to the top left. Andrew is a guy who's doing a PhD in the technical history of Jamaican and Barbados rum making. Next slide is a little overview about Barbados. What is extremely unique about Barbados and Guyana is the diversity of stills. You can see something we call pot still alley. You can see the Old Greg. Remember we tasted the rum that had a lot of the Old Greg, the PXXO. The Old Greg, look at the neck. It's a tiny little pipe. The neck is double skin, and they run water between the double skin to create reflux. It's all riveted by hand. You can see that, right? That's the Old Greg. It was built in 1850. It's still making rum. The Vulcan, it's a chamber still. We're going to talk about this still later. If you want to show us the next slide. These are the beauties of the distilleries. We're not going to talk about everyone, but I want to show you this one. This one was on the parking lot. And it was there for, according to Digger, remember? He said, when I came as a child, it was already on the parking lot. When I showed it to my friend who was a coppersmith, you know, David Pym is a genius coppersmith. David Pym made the retort at Fiji, make the retort in Longpond, make the retort. He built them himself with his hands, the retort in, you know, many places, you know. And when he saw that still, he almost cried. He said, Alexander, this still was built in 1780 and you can fix it. You know the guys. So you can see the show guy next to me to the right, Gaylor. He's a genius. He works with us. He worked 3,000 hours on that still. And I'm proud to say this still is making rum again, starting last November, a year ago. So if you come to Barbados, or next time you come see me, you and I will taste a rum that was distilled. That was in a still, distilled in a still that was making rum before Chopin was making music. You know, I love the music from Chopin, play piano, you know, incredible composer. He was, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was alive when this still was making rum. So this is the story of, you know, of West Indies rum distillery, which is incredible. So you can see in the next slide, some of the teammates I told you about. We're going to taste an incredible rum that we call Jaws. Jaws, why? It's a mark that was made with these people, Jordan, Alain, Wisdom and Sober. Jaws, you know, is the name of this marks. It's a very specific product. I use it in my blend. And as you can see here, these are the guys, the team from a whiskey club in France. And as you can see, they are torturing me here. They're asking me questions. It's a radio show. And they made me accept the idea to do a release of Jaws bottling without using it in a blend. And today we're going to taste Jaws. Jaws is a specific mark that we used to sell, and we still sell for blenders. It's a big baby, almost 1,000 volatile substances. Remember, industrial rum can be as low as 8. This is 1,988. This is bottled at 56, so it's not a shy rum. This is only aged 6 months. And this is esters count at 247. You know, Barbados makes some of the highest esters in the world. People don't know this because Barbados likes the very balanced, very sophisticated rum. Without this rum, I cannot make the PXXO. I just want you to know. And this is all the components that we make. You see La Confrérie du Rhum. So here you can see Dario. Dario is a man who specialized in yeast and fermentation. He used to be a professor at the university, and he joined the distillery to never come back to the university. So we work together a lot, obviously, you know, at the distillery. As you can see in the old archives, Digger will tell you there's one of the secrets. We use seawater in fermentation to create stress on the yeast, to create specific profile. It's a secret recipe of George States that I'm sharing with you today. You can see the blue bucket. I went to the beach, I brought it, and we put it inside to create, you know, specific, when people call the Rockley style, if you see the bottling from Bristol Spirits, the Rockley style is distilled, is fermented with a little bit of seawater. That's the secret of the Rockley style. Now, and then also Barbados has its own yeast nursery. You would call this a muck pit in Jamaica. In Barbados, we call this a yeast nursery. We grow our own yeast and our own bacteria to create flavors. So we tasted Jaws, right? Did everybody taste his Jaws? So what do you think, guys?
It's delicious.
Do you feel violated or do you feel loved?
It's super delicious. It's really, really nice. Really.
That's a special baby. It's usually a component in the blend. But remember, these guys tortured me, and I love it so much. I said it's a great idea. We're going to do a bottling. Well, we might be doing some more. As you can see, it's got the esters, right? The fruits that you would find, but it doesn't taste like Jamaica. It's Barbados. Because Barbados will hit you in the face, but with love. Barbados has got always style. Barbados is always class. I brought you today a Hogo Monster, which is higher 1,600. It's illegal to ship out of Jamaica. Barbados can make it. You're going to taste it. We call the Hogo Monster. Even though it's a monster, it's polite and it's wearing a tuxedo. So, you know, we explained the esters and the counts. So you got jaws, you can see. So now I'm going to share. You see to the left, I'm with the guys. We're planting cane. We distilled jaws in the two stills, the old Greg that you can see to the right and the John Doe 88. Why am I showing you cane? To promote esters in Barbados, we make cane vinegar. Why? And it's a technique also at Long Pond, especially at Hamlin. You create cane vinegar because when you do your first fermentation, you create alcohol. And if you re-acidify it with cane vinegar, you introduce bacteria that we grow ourselves. It will feed off the alcohol and it will feed off the acidity from the cane vinegar to create the beautiful flavors that you're smelling today. So I gave you a secret, and you can see the bacteria growing to the middle, and they were that's why I'm showing you the cane. And so some people sometimes you see say, oh, Hamden or Long Pond or Barbados, we use cane. Yes, we use cane juice now to make rum, but before we use the cane juice, especially to make the cane vinegar, so we can create the super boost of delicious esters. So now we're going to go from jaws to the Hogo Monster. There's a Monster, Hogo Monster, and that's okay, Philip. And then, and so this would not be legal to show you in Jamaica, but it is in Barbados. This one is 2,900 volatile compounds and 1,700 esters. You probably never tasted that. The Hogo Monster, I've decided, the marketing team disagreed, but I'm going to release small bottles of Hogo Monsters. That the ones we'll release, I tasted again this afternoon, 2,200. I think, Chris, you tasted the 2,200 Monster. Today we're tasting the 1,700 Monster. Something you've never tasted before. This one is aged, is a blend of different Hogo Monsters, 6 months to 1 year. And I wanted to try something that is usually never drunk on its own. What do we do with this? Next time, when you have a rum cocktail that doesn't rum anymore, put 2 spoons of that. Your cocktail is going to look at you and smile back at you. If you want to add the rumminess to it, this is the magic. Of course, if you hate me when you drink it, I am not upset. It is a rum that is never drunk before. This is a rum that usually is a component. But I thought today, and Chris asked me, he said, Alexander, I want the guys to taste something that only master blenders taste. And this has never been commercialized ever. We might do it next year, but it's never been commercialized except to other blenders. We sell this to people who want to make rum their products. And this one is 55% alcohol. It's a big monster. Now, if you have water, I urge you to use it because, of course, remember, you will change the taste totally because your palate right now, it's so concentrated. You may say, Alexander, it smells like nail polish remover, and I won't be upset.
Alexander, if I may say something, I don't know if Chris told you about us, but we were waiting for those such rums. If you have like a bunch of more of this, we will be pleased to drink it. It can be 2,500, 3,000, whatever you got.
So you are crazy like me, and so
yeah. So you don't need to say like, oh, we will be sorry. No, we will be grateful, and it will be the pleasure to have this.
Stay tuned. The right crowd for this.
Stay tuned, man. Next year, we're launching the Hogo Monster. Right now, I'm having a problem with Monster, the energy drink. We call it Hogo Monster in Barbados, in our distillery. And they're bothering me. They don't want me to use it. That's the way we call it. So we might call it something different. I don't know. But we call them the Hogo Monster. You know why Hogo? Because these rums, before the aristocracy, British aristocracy in the Caribbean used to speak French. And these rum, they call them rhum de haut goût. If you speak French, haut goût means high taste. O-H-A-U-T, haute, like haute couture. And goût, G-O-U-T, means taste. So haut goût means high taste. And David Wondrich, who's an incredible historian, called them found the fact that the word used in 18th century, 19th century, hogo, H-O-G-O, comes from the French ogu, transformation. So that's the hogo, and that's why we call that a hogo monster, because past 1,600, we call them the hogo monsters, because they are monsters, because usually they are not commercially available, even outside of Jamaica, but outside Barbados, we have some specific customers. Right now, customers are either makers, other blenders, or actually perfume companies. They want to use that to extract they make perfumes for people who make high-end patisserie, pastries. So I felt it would be great to let the cat out of the bag and share it with you. And thank you, man, for saying this, because, but I told Angelique at marketing, I did that job 35 years, and I can't speak too loud, she's downstairs. I didn't have marketing department for 30 years in my life. Why would I spend money in marketing? We make products, people come see us. And my sales team said, Alexander, you're crazy. We are sick of printing the brochures with the computer. We need real brochures. So we hired a marketing, and we found this incredible lady. She convinced me because she's a rum lover and she knows rum extremely well. She's very educated and very smart. But when I said I wanted to, and I'm going to tell her when I have dinner later, I would be there with dessert, that you told me this about making it available. But we want to do a little bottle, and I want to put on the label, don't buy this unless you know what it is. She thinks I suck at marketing, but I don't think you can buy this if you don't know what it is. I think if you don't know what it is, somebody may read something about Plantaray and say, oh, I read something about Plantaray. It seems like it's great. They find that smaller bottle and they drink this, and they're like, man, I must have a bad bottle, right? Because somebody who is not educated. So we're going to write this on the label or something like whatever, but to say that you cannot buy this if you don't know what it is.
For me, this tastes like you, instead of making all this magic and alchemy according to how you are producing the rum and what you need to do in case of producing a rum, what you can add, what you are not able to add, etc. It's like the cane itself that's growing on your farm. It's making rum inside of it. So when you are tasting it, besides just smelling it, it's like the rum was made inside of the cane.
I like that. That's a good one.
I didn't even thought it's possible, because Chris showed us like a variety of rums across the world, across the years. So for us, it's not something like, oh, we don't know how the rum can be extreme. But this is something I didn't thought I will be able to feel in my life. And wow. So thank you very much. And we are the guys. We are open. Every day you have like high esters. We can even have like a high ester degustation, and it will be really fine. So you won't be like, you don't need to add the sign saying you are not able to buy it. We are able, and we would like to have it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, guys. We're going to do this,
Thank you so much. I think you should call it a nail remover. So far, last 3 rums was for the best for my life. To be honest, I love high esters, but that one, the monster, is really the monster. I just so fall in love. It's gonna be my next wife. Cheers.
Regarding the warning, Alexandre, you wouldn't be the first one. Actually, Lindt chocolate, the Swiss chocolate Lindt, they have 99% cacao chocolate. That's like very bitter. And actually, unlike all the other Lindt chocolates, it does come with like the golden foil, because they're very tiny pieces, not the normal, but like much smaller. Comes with the golden foil and the warning. This is a very peculiar, like extreme taste of Lindt chocolate. Please try like 50% and 70% before. Make sure you are ready if you wanted to try this 99% chocolate. So you wouldn't be the first.
You know what? It's funny you say that. Maybe I should look. I was just in Grenada 10 days ago, next to Barbados. And there's a chocolate maker called Jouvet. They make everything by hand. They were able to do 100%. And it was just out of this world. And I like what you say. I'm not very good in marketing. And I like what you just described. I'm going to write it down. That like to look at what they did to the Lindt 100% or 99%, because maybe it's a great way to explain what we do, And so anyway, for the 100%. So Thank you. Or 99. Yeah, I will look into it. Well, thank you, guys. Well, if you like this, please continue supporting me because I will do one every year if you like it. I promise you. But I need to feel the love. Remember, I'm fighting. There's some wounds. Some people trying to suppress some traditions, what you've tasted. But we're trying to keep that alive. And keeping these beautiful rums is another tradition we're trying to keep alive. And Barbados has a kept secret that we just shared together today. And if you like them, I'll show you. The next Hogo Monster, I approved it this morning. I loved it. It's just the last, that's the one I prefer. It's 3,200, 3,200. And one day we might even do 5,000. We do 5,000. One day you'll taste it. I mean, it's a violent. But these are, think about them as rums you can nose, smell, drink, get married to, Sebastian. But also think about something, Rum Hub. But I can tell you something, man. Without this rum, I cannot make the XO. I don't know if you realize that. And I don't have a lot of it, but it's right in there. And it's looking at you now. But I cannot make the XO. And that's where Barbados got this super, think about Barbados of 9 different stills in one distillery. And think about Barbados as 144 recipes of fermentation. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Now to wrap up, you can join us. I'd love to welcome you at the distillery. And what I want to do, whether you come to Cognac here, you tell us. Really, you will see the craziness of the makers here. This is my life. I live, see, this is my house. It's my office. It's my distillery. Everything is around me. Everything. If I go down the stairs, there is a distillery with 10 pot stills. And I live at production. And so come and see me. You will see that this is a life I dedicated to this. On a finishing note, I want to share with you also, the name change. It's very important for me to share this with you on a finishing note. I created Plantation. I didn't know I was creating a rum brand. I created Citadel. I knew I was creating a gin brand. But, I was selling my cognac barrels in Haiti. And my friend Thierry Gardet, one of my masters, I'm celebrating him with a beautiful, beautiful Haiti rum, Extreme, next year. So you're in the secret. From Haiti, made with him. And before he passed. And one day, Thierry is telling me one thing. Alexandre, I'm going to show you some rum secrets. And he showed me stuff in Haiti. And I showed you, like the kids exchange baseball card or football cards or Pokemon cards. He showed me some Pokemon cards and I showed him some Pokemon cards about cognac. Pokemon cards you only show to professionals, usually the next generation. I showed to my son. When I showed you in my Pokemon cards, he was like, Alexandre, I want to share with you. And he said, you should meet Laurie Barnard, my other master in St. Lucia. And I fell in love with rum. Why did I fall in love with rum? In cognac, we hate bacteria. We kill bacteria. They're our enemy. In the Caribbean, we grow bacteria for flavor. So imagine how surprised I was. Without bacteria, you cannot create the rum you tasted. This is the bacteria, not the yeast, that create some of these flavors. They know this. We didn't know this. So I felt crazy. And then I tasted rum from all these countries. And I'm like, this is nuts. That helped me make better cognacs 30 years ago. Because I understood the leverage of yeast and fermentation. Rum is the king of that. And so I was so fascinated with that. Because cognac is such a sophisticated spirit with so much to know that I was like, I'm game, man. I have been trained in the heart of the heart. And then I discovered the beauty of rum and the diversity of rum for an island. That's why we're fighting for this, guys. We're fighting so you can taste things that are as different as what we've tasted today. I hope we win this fight. And, this is very important. And we can make this. And I wanted to celebrate this, but I didn't know I was going to make a brand. I brought back some barrels. I started selling my rums not for rums, rather than for money, my empty barrels of cognac. And I started aging it with my knowledge. And one of the major buyers in France, Nicolas Wine Shop, said, this is delicious. I want it for the shops. I said, I have no brand. She says, make a brand. I grew up on a farm. We have une plantation in French where you plant stuff. At the time, a farm in Barbados was called a plantation. The highest sugar quality is called plantation reserve. So I thought it was a great name because it evoked farming. And I love farming. And without the cane, remember you said it's like being in the cane? I love what you just said. For me, rum is being inside the cane, whether it's the molasses cane, because rum, you have the magic of using different size, the cane in different forms. Cane juice, cane honey, cane syrup, cane skimmings, which is the foam, which is another 19th century technique that I will develop another day. So, all these magical things I wanted to celebrate, and I created Plantation. And as the brand developed in a way that I never expected. People loved what we did. People were crazy, and we developed a whole cult following. And I felt so humbled. And I told my wife, I really would love to buy a distillery because I'm a maker. I want to live there in the farm. I looked at many options and finally got married with West Indies Rum Distillery. And my team there started saying, hey, Alexandre, the name Plantation. We think it's such a beautiful brand. We love what you do. It's such an honor. But the older guys said the name. But the guys in Barbados are extremely reserved. Barbados culture is a bit like, if you look at Europe, we are Latins in France, right? We're like the Latin guys. We're going to speak to you. We are very passionate, right? Well, in Barbados, they're like Swedish people. The Jamaicans, they're more like the French, they're or the Italians, So they were very polite, very, very elegant about it. One day, also a friend of mine, who's an American guy from African descent, but he's American for 200 years or something. And Garrett Oliver, he's the master brewer from Brooklyn Brewery in Brooklyn. Great brewer. He's a guy who wrote the Oxford Guide to Beer. And he told me, he said, names have different meanings for different people. And also there is a guy who's a priest in Barbados who talked with me about the name. And so one day, my good friend from Garrett Oliver said, I'm just back from Japan, Alexandre. I thought about you during the whole plane trip. So why? Well, Brooklyn Brewery now is owned by a Japanese company. I forgot if it's Asahi or Sapporo. He told me. And I went for a board meeting in Japan. And there was all the board members. They were all Japanese guys, very, very educated, very old, very, very senior. And I make my presentation. And I had developed a new range of beers, very special edition. He does, like me, a lot of research with a good friend of ours called Dave Wondrich. And they worked in Manhattan on the final recipe. And that was their project. And when he was in the airplane working on his PowerPoint presentation, he says, what am I going to call this project? I need a catchy name. And he finds a super, super catchy name. And he puts in the PowerPoint presentation. And then he's in front of these guys and he puts next slide. This is the True New Brews. We developed it in Manhattan with my friend. We decided to call it, imagine he's in Japan, the Manhattan Project. Now, I don't know if you guys saw Oppenheimer and if you know what is the Manhattan Project, but the Manhattan Project is when America tried to create the H-bomb to destroy Japan. And so Manhattan Project, to him, was just he said, Alexandre, to me, the Manhattan Project is just a beautiful name to say it's a project made in Manhattan. But he said, to them, it was death, war, desolation, cancer, destruction. And he said, you see, the name is different meanings. And I went back to Barbados and I talked to my team and they told me stories about the slave code from Barbados, written in the 1600s, that told you if somebody stole something, you can attach them and burn their nose alive. All this stuff. And I said, man, you know what? All of you here around this computer, we are about the love. We're about sharing beautiful moments like today. Sharing emotions. Are we part of suffering? Yes, we fight for what we stand for, but we don't want to create suffering. And remember, these guys work with me. I showed you my team. You saw my teams. So do I want to be part of this suffering? I don't think so. And that brand is worldwide. So we said very respectfully, we're going to evolve the name. I love the name Plantaray. Why? The plant, the cane, remember being inside the cane? I love that. The plant and the ray of sun. The sun feeds the cane so we can make rum. Plantaray. And you see the logo, the ray of sun. And so I love the name, but I forgot that we had trademarked plantation in 121 countries. So it took us a couple of years to do that. Last November, finally, we announced it to the world in Barbados with the team. There was a rainbow on the distillery, I kid you not. And when we were finished, I was so exhausted emotionally because I was scared. It was a jump in the unknown. It's like renaming your own child. But we decided to do it because we believed that was the only right thing to do. Are we right or are we wrong? We don't know. Am I sure? I don't know. I'm honest with you. I'm not sure about what's inside the bottle. But this is culture. This is emotion. So we decided, we're doing it anyway. And I can tell you, by the end of the presentation, very emotional moment, we jumped in the unknown. And we did that because we felt I was right. And an outpour of Barbadian emotion. Mark Hill, the big guy, the big priest, remember, he's a preacher, 6 kids, came to me, he's got huge hands. And he shook my hand and he said, Alexandre, Plantaray is a strong name. Don't you ever forget about it. That's all I got. But it meant the world to me, guys. So now I hope you're with me on this. I mean, what matters is the emotion, but we're going slowly, from plantations, going to Plantaray. The new name you'll see popping up in all the new products. Of course, we're not going to throw away the bottles and so on. Some people are collecting the plantations. That's okay. It's part of my history. I'm not renegating it. I did it for the reasons I told you. But I've grown, and remember, I work with 100 people in Barbados. Everybody is from slave descent. And I respect them, and I respect the team, and I respect anybody that can hurt. So that can hurt because we're products of love. Remember, the Manhattan Project story was something that was very awakening because, of course, it's also very recent. So I just want to share with you guys, and thank you for being here. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'm with you for questions. If you want to follow what you're doing, you can scan here, follow what we do. Please do. It's not a brand. It's an adventure in the end. I wake up in the morning to create these liquids, and I love to share this adventure with you. And please continue sharing. I promise you, if God gives me life, I'm going to blow your mind every single time by bringing new things. You might love it. You might hate it. It's okay. My job is to do what I believe in. And I want the palate to say, man, what are you doing to me today? And I hope that's what we did with you today. With the PXXO, this beautiful velvety expressions that I couldn't make with the monster that you tasted in the end. And then, of course, that's how you create layering. That's how you, the alternate word of the H-bomb. Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure,
Sorry for that.
That's okay. That's okay, man. We've been thinking, but Hogo for sure, monster, if I'm not sued by these monsters. But we're still at the farm. When I started to do this, we were 5 people. Now we're close to 450, and that's okay. The philosophy is still the same, and everybody is just working to one goal: is making these delicious, very distinct liquids. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, guys,
just a
don't
quick
hesitate.
idea. If the
Sure.
monster is an issue, maybe use Hogo Beast. Yeah, I think it's the same vibe.
Hey,
And
Pavel,
like Mr. Beast probably
Pavel.
won't sue you.
Let me tell you one thing. You and I think alike, and I proposed it to them. And they just launched an alcoholic monster drink, energy drink that they call Beast. Exactly, Pavel. I'm like, fuck it, this is crazy. Can I have a life? Because I love Hogo Beast as well. I'm like, okay, fuck it, we're going to do that. So if you have an idea, tell Chris he's going to send it to me. It's going to be the Hogo anyway. I might do Hogo Monster and say, fuck it, because honestly, I just saw there's, the guys from Compass Box, they did the Pit Monster. So I called them. He says, well, you know what, we did it. And, because we're not trying to say it's an energy drink, But anyway, I hate the fights and legal fights. I hate it. I am a creator. But, but there's the Hogo anyway. And believe me, what matters is inside the bottle. So if you have ideas, but if you sell the Monster right now, you're still inside the cane, man. And if you want, next time you come to Barbados, I'll introduce you to my coworker. His name is Ram. Ram is somebody who has been working in cane. He used to work for 20 years at a distillery that's closed now. He worked on the sugar mill there called Caroni. And Ram has joined us. He worked 20 years there. And then when Caroni closed, he will tell you it's not exactly like the story in the box, but still, you can talk to the man who worked there for 20 years. And he's working with me now. And he moved outside of Trinidad when there's no more cane. He moved to Barbados to work at the cane mill. And he's an incredible engineer. He's now 70 years, and he's part of the plant array team. And he's the cane man. Remember, we have our own cane mill. And for 5 years, I've been making cane juice rum as well in Barbados with Ram, who's got a lot of experience as well about cane. You know, we got the digger saying, "I don't have blood in my veins. I got West Indies rum." This guy, say, "I have cane juice in my vein." And he's got cane juice. He'll show you for 5 generations. So if you guys want to meet people who are my teammates, I feel so fortunate. I attract some of these geniuses, and we put their heads together to create the liquids that you're tasting today. Because the cane, remember, is important for the esters, for the cane vinegars, but also we're doing some cane juice expressions that we're going to be tasting soon together. All right, guys. Well, if you got questions, I'm with you. I got
Alexandre,
the
hi.
owner of
I have one
Yeah, tell me.
question. Your Mauritius, the new single vintage, is
Yeah.
from which distillery?
This one is a secret because it's not from Saint-Aubin, and they don't want me to tell you where it's from.
Okay.
I bought it with my friend Charles, and it's aged at Saint-Aubin, but I cannot tell you. I'm so sorry. It is not Saint-Aubin. If we are the two of us, maybe I can tell you, but I
Okay.
will ask you. It's a great
How many
question.
distilleries are there in Mauritius?
Well, there's really 3 main ones. There's going to be a new one soon. There's an ethanol plant that wants to make some rum now. But, our partners is Saint-Aubin, but also I have bought barrels in time and I stored them at Saint-Aubin. And I promised, I would keep that secret. It's funny because when I started this job 35 years ago, but I started the plant array or plantation 25 years ago, everybody wanted to keep a secret, and now everybody wants to see the name of the distillery on the label. Maybe that person will change their mind, but unless they change their mind, I will respect their heritage, obviously. And I thought it was a delicious rum, and my goal is to present you beautiful rums. The French oak did marvels to this rum. It did marvels because it really underlined all the beautiful spice to describe them, but and so on. I want to
Okay,
say
and
hello
second-
to Zdenek that I see right here.
Yeah.
Zdenek, who I see very often. Thank you, Zdenek, to be online. With Zdenek not so long ago, and also with Chris, at the show. If you guys got a question, because I got the owner of the wrong, I told him I had a very important thing to do. Thierry Benitas, the owner of La Maison du Whiskey and the Whiskey Live, who's downstairs. But I'll have a dessert. I wanted to do this with you guys. I really enjoyed sharing. I gotta tell you, we are on an adventure together. Don't ever forget this. We're doing this. Just keep something in mind. Life is too short to drink bad rum. And be sure that you have in me a defender of the true, and me and my team, more than important than me, because one day I'm older than them. I'll be gone, and they'll continue fighting for the true values of rum. And that's why we fight. That's why we fight to defend double aging. That's what we fight for using seawater. That's why we fight for not just oak. That's why we fight for not just American oak. That's what we fight for fixing the barrels with mango tree. That's what we fight for, doing these things so we can taste rum like we drink today. Otherwise, we couldn't drink rum and have the emotions that we have. That's why we fight to continue to make these super high esters. Even though when you use a ton of molasses, if you make an industrial rum, you make 280 liters of pure alcohol. But if you do the monster, you can only make 55 liters with that ton of cane. So just in 55 liters, you're drinking a ton of molasses to make these flavors, because we pack these flavors like crazy. So I just wanted to share that with you. We're fighting for these values. Some people are very happy about it, and I hope that you are. I am. I will never do something I don't believe in. And that's why we fight to revive also specific varieties of cane to make the rums of tomorrow as well. So thanks, because I know some of you are really staunch supporters. You get the missions we're about. Always keep in mind, highest quality is not a simple marketing formula. Anybody tells you a simple marketing formula about their products, be careful. Because to make great products, it's a lot of hours, a lot of work, and a lot of knowledge. Took me 4 years to learn about Navy rum, to finally decide to make one. And I know now I know about Navy rum, but maybe I'm wrong. And I'm going to learn more because we keep on researching. So I can't wait to meet all of you in person. Thank you. Thank you from Cognac here. Thank you for what you do with my products. Keep drinking them if you can. I've made you that promise today, and I always do. I'll keep on blowing your mind with incredible products, and be sure I'll continue that fight so we can make these beautiful spirits. And there's a fight going on in Jamaica right now that's led by Martha Miller, the head of National Oil Jamaica, with the guys, our competitors, wanting to stop double aging. And we say tropical aging is wonderful. We do it with state, and double aging is wonderful as well. Why would you oppose one to the other? Because it's the very history of rum. And that book of Navy rum is showing it in every pages, but also not me inventing it, me telling you the facts. Because remember, Andrew, who runs West Indies Rum Series, says you can own your own story, but you don't own facts. Facts belong to all of us. So thank you, everybody. So imagine I'm 58 now. So imagine the way I was when I was 35 years old. So, and when I was 23 and I started doing this. So count on me, and thanks to everybody. Cheers to everybody. Keep that passion going. You are the reason I wake up in the morning. Thank you.
I have Alexandre.
Thank you very much.
Alexandre, I have to say three things. Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
I have three things to say. First of all, be careful what you're saying, because I have a lot of plans to make some touristic trips, rum trips, especially for geeks around the world. So be careful, because your wish can be true.
Well, let me tell you one thing. In my house in Barbados, there's 5 bedrooms and 10 beds. So if you book in advance, you can already have 10 people if they can share bedrooms, not beds, but bedrooms. Remember Maison Ferrand, we're a big family. Zdenek knows that. He's been there. We're not shy. Because it's about the love. And same thing in Cognac. We have 10 bedrooms here. So if you guys can come and squeeze in, otherwise we have friends, we have hotels and stuff. We'd love to have you guys come. And Chris, you are the man. You know your stuff. You are the man. So bring the team. If you're in love with this, we're going to show you things. Make sure you learn how to play Barbados dominoes before you come to Barbados, so I can take you to the rum shops, and we are not we can play with the guys. You know how to drink rum already. That's the most important skill, but the second one is dominoes, and we're going to be sharing this together, guys.
Okay, so this
That's
was
for
the
sure.
first thing. Second thing is this session. It was the first session in my life I didn't say any word. Any.
Sorry, man.
From the very beginning to the last your words. I'm really thankful for that, because you did the
Sorry.
whole job. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I feel not really good with it, but you did a good job. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Grace. I apologize. I apologize to you.
No.
I'm a bit passionate.
Everything is good. Everything is good. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And the third thing is I want to really, really thank you for
Thank you, man.
joining and for finding time. I know how busy you are. We talk in Paris and earlier in and in London, no, in Berlin.
Berlin.
So I know how busy you are, and that's why I want to really, really thank you that you decided to join to our session and say everything about your life, your company, your future imagination. So yeah. So I hope we will do some next session next year. Yeah.
Count on me. Count on me.
Yeah.
I love the work you do, Chris. You're really an icon of this world. And you know, I would love to see you guys in person. So maybe we can do a session where I'm in Poland next time. And or we can do it online. It's okay. Either way. But I love people. So I, love to see with you guys. And I am not scared. You guys are coming to see me, not a problem. All right.
Okay, we'll manage that. So thank you, Alexandre, one more time.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Much
Yeah.
love. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the great questions, by the way. Zdenek, you keep good. Keep drinking the good rum.
Thanks. I'm drinking your rum.
Here. Okay.
And Chris, you're incredible. Continue writing the good books and spreading the love. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Rum love. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Dobrze, panowie, to tak. To teraz przechodzimy na ploteczki.
Facebook out.
No to trzeba wyłączyć Facebooka i nagranie, jak mamy być niecenzuralni.
Ja wiem.
Mówisz, Paweł, teraz wszyscy się dowiedzą, że tacy jesteśmy.
Zatrzymaj transmisję na żywo.
A jeszcze jedno pytanie, niech to się nagra. Gdzie jest Darek?
Czekajcie.
Słuchajcie panowie, bo ja po prostu tyle co wróciłem z Teneryfy, nie dość, że mi się loto później, to jeszcze mi się zaczął ruch w barze. Ja mam szybkie pytanie do ciebie.